Hi, this is Mohan Golab. So today we'll start the second chapter of module 4. As per the textbook, it is chapter number 10, that is file system. So these are the contents of this chapter which we are going to discuss. So let us start with the discussion of file. So what is file? So we know that file is a named collection of related information that is recorded on the secondary storage. So not only secondary storage, the file may be stored on the primary storage also. So file means when you want to store some information or some data, so you need some storage for that. And see, whenever you store that, as and when required, it should be possible for you to access that information. So that's why here that for that we will be using a file is basically a storage. So it's a named collection of related information. Means if we have a name for that collection of information, then only it is possible to access as and when required. So that's why the file is a named collection of related information that is recorded on the secondary storage. So usually the for the file the contiguous logical address space will be allocated. And when it comes for the types, so again based on the type of information that the file holds, we have the category of files here. So usually the file may be to store the information or the data, or it may be for a program also. Means you write any program, first you have to create a file, and in that file you have to type the program, and you have to execute that file in order to execute the corresponding program. Similarly, if you want to store a data, so the file can be used. So again the data may be only the numeric form, it may be in the collection of the numbers and characters, or only characters, or it may be in the binary form also. And as we know, the numeric and character data files can be read, but the binary files cannot be read by the user. So next we'll see the attributes, the file attributes. So attributes means these are the properties of a particular file. Means whenever you create a file, so what all information or what all properties the particular file may be having. So we'll discuss this one by one. So first one is name, because as and when required it should be possible for us to locate or to use a particular file. So in order to access that file, so we should have a particular information such as the name of that particular file. So this name is it is the only information kept in human readable form. Means this is a usually symbolic name which is used for accessing that file. So next one is the identifier. So identifier is nothing but a unique identification number, that is a unique tag or the number which identifies the file within a file system. Means we know that on the system the file system will be there, which is having the collection of the number of files, and for the system's use every file will be associated with a unique number, that is nothing but an identifier. So we will be using the name to access a file, but the system will be using this identifier to locate a corresponding file. So next one is type. So this is needed for the systems that support the different types. This indicates the type of the file. So next one is the location. Location is the pointer to the file location on the device. Means this indicates where exactly or at which location on a device the file is present or stored. The next one is size. So current size of the file. So usually this is given in terms of the number of bytes, words, or blocks. The next one is protection. The protection means this holds the access control information. Means for a particular file there will be some rights, like who can read, who can perform the write operation, who can perform the execute operation, and so on. So this information will be stored under this protection. So next one is time, date, and user identification. So this is for data protection, security, and usage monitoring. Means at what time the particular file is created, or at what time the particular file is accessed or modified by which user, and so on. So information about the files are kept in the directory structure which is maintained on the disk. So this is about the file attributes. Next we'll see what all the different operations that can be. So the file is nothing but an abstract data type, and these following are the different operations that can be performed on a file. So the first one is creating a file. So the two steps are necessary to create a file. The first is free space should be available, and second one is uh, the entry for the new file must be made in the directory, because we in the previous slide we saw that whatever the different attributes of the file are there, so all are stored in a particular directory. So in order to create a new file, first we should have a free space for the file, and second we have to create an entry for that in the corresponding directory. So second one is writing a file. So in order to write a file, so uh, again see, in order to perform all these different operations, the system is going to provide certain system calls. So you can use those system calls to perform these particular files. So similarly, whenever you want to perform a write operation on the file, so you have to call the corresponding system call by passing the name of the file on which you want to perform the operation, and also you have to provide the content to be written on that particular file. So similarly, for reading a file, so you have to call the corresponding system call by specifying the name of the corresponding file which you want to read. The next one is repositioning within a particular file. So whenever you are performing a particular operation, that is a read or write operation, so there is a particular pointer that is called as the current file position pointer. So usually whenever you perform a particular IO operation, so at that time the last IO operation location is considered as the current file point position pointer. But if you want to change the position of that, so that operation is called as repositioning within a file, means repositioning or changing the position of the current file position pointer. The next one is deleting a file. To delete a file, so we search the directory for the named file. So having found the associated directory entry, we release all file space so that it can be reused by the other files, and use the directory and erase the directory entry. So this is deleting a file. Next is truncating a file. So there is a difference between deleting a file and truncating a file. So as we saw, deleting a file means, because see, we saw in the creating a file, first you have to find a free space to store this file, and second one is you have to update the directory entry. So similarly, whenever you delete a file, so whatever the space that is allocated, that should be deallocated, so that that is used by the other process or other file. And second one is, whenever you delete a file, the corresponding entry should be removed from the directory. But when you truncate a file, so only the content of that file will be removed, but its attribute will not be removed. So that file is going to exist, but it will not be deleted. So this is the difference between deleting and truncating. Deleting means altogether that file will be deleted from the storage, as well as the entries will be deleted from the directory. But truncating means only the content of the file will be removed, but the file will be existing. So the next we'll see the information associated with an open file. So whenever we have a file opened, so what all information will be associated with that opened file. So the several pieces of data are needed to manage the open files. So we'll discuss these. The file pointer. So that is what the current file position pointer, whatever we discussed in the previous slide. So this is the pointer to the last read write location as a current file position pointer per process that has the file open. Means this is a pointer which indicates the location where the last read write operation taken place on a particular file. So the next one is file open count. So this is a counter of the number of times a file is open. Means, so the same file, because we know that the file is again a shared entity, the same file can be shared among the number of users as well as number of processes. So that's why the number of processes may have opened a particular file for the different operations. So that's why you should have a particular way by which you will come to know how many users or how many processes have opened that particular file. So this is present here, that is the counter of the number of times a particular file is opened. So why it is required? So this is to allow a removal of data from the open file table entry when the last process closes it. Means here whenever you want to remove that particular file, so you should close all the opened instances of that particular file, so then only it is possible to remove that file. So in order to decide when that particular file can be removed, so this particular information can be used. So the next one is disk location of the file. So this is the information needed to locate the file on disk is kept in memory. So access right, so per process access mode information, like as we saw in the previous slide, that is what all access permissions are there for a particular file for the different users. So next we'll see the open file locking. So this is again a particular uh, facility provided for protection, a file protection. Means whenever a file is opened, so there is a particular way by which you can impose the restrictions on the corresponding open file for the other processes. This is called as locking. So this is provided by some operating systems and file systems and mediates the access to a open file by the other files, because as we saw, a particular file is a shared one, so this can be shared by the number of other processes also. So whenever a particular file is opened, so whether the other processes should be allowed to open that file or they should be allowed to perform such. So in order to decide this, we have this different locking. So just we'll discuss the types of locks here. So the first one is shared lock. So this is also called as a reader lock. Means here shared lock means, so whenever a particular file is opened, so the all other processes will also be allowed to open, but only in the read mode, that is only for the reading purpose the other processes can also open, but here if they want to open it for write, this is not allowed. So the next one is exclusive lock. Exclusive lock is writer lock. Means here whenever a particular process opens a file for the writing purpose, then no other process will be allowed to enter or access that file for either read or write. So this is exclusive lock. The third one is again the mandatory lock. Mandatory, and after this we have the advisory. Mandatory, as the name itself indicates, the compulsory. So whenever a process applies the mandatory lock, so access is denied depending on the locks held and requested. Means the compulsorily the lock will be imposed and no other process will be allowed to access that particular file. But if it is advisory, advisory means it is optional. So if a particular file is having the advisory lock, then the processes can find the status of the locks and the process may decide what to do. So that's why this is nothing but the advisory lock.